just to bring the volume up. So, in order to make sure that this kind of thing doesn't happen during this time, the recession, what do? I used to have, for example, 10 vessels. 10 vessels with each one of them, for example, we talk about 8,000 TEU. Do you know what TEU is? TEU is 20-foot container. The field is 40-foot container. So the boat averagely about 8,000 to 10,000. The biggest one now is about 16,000 TEU per boat. Just pick a figure, just to go through the theory. Let's say 8,000. So I will have 80,000 boxes every week to sell. So that's why you guys have the pressure of volume, because I have 80 people here. Everybody has to sell 10,000 for me. So you will go and get the 10,000, right? But if I decided to cut that into 40,000, you have less to sell. You have half. When you are only doing half of what you used to do, which means you are going to fill up the volume very quickly. When you fill up the volume, you have other client who wants the space. What do? You either ask each other, or you say no. Of course, when you all have the same situation, nobody's going to give you the extra space. What do you do again? You increase the price. Sorry, I only got 10 space this week. And Mr. A here is happy to pay me 4,000 each. What would you like to pay? 3,000. At the end of the day, of course, he has to agree with 4,000. Otherwise, he's going to miss the time. His split will be stuck in here, and he cannot catch here. And then there will be a gap of 1 week to 2 weeks when everybody else's goods are here. They pay a little bit extra, but they manage to sell and make profit. How about my goods? They're stuck here. People don't need it anymore. By the time I get there, you see how it works now? So what the shipping line did was they cut the volume, the capacity, and then they fixed the rate. When this works, what they do is every 1 month they increase price by 100, 200, 200, 300, 300, 400. And at peak, they were allowed to increase 600 US dollar per box. Increase, I said, which means originally if it was 3,000, the new price would be 3,600. Same way, I only got 1 box left, and you guys all have 1 box to sell. Who do I give it to? Depends on how urgent you guys think this is, how desperate you are. But I'm sure out of you guys here, 15 people, you must have people who really, really want to send it off. So I'm sure someone is going to pay that, or even higher. Apart from that, what the shipping line did was they set the vessel on what they call slow steam. How does it work? Because the vessel uses petrol to run. It's like driving your car. If you drive your car steadily on the highway 60, 70 miles an hour, your fuel consumption will be relatively lower. But if you have to catch a time slot, you have to, if you have time pressure, you are going to speed up to 80 to 90 in order to catch the time slot, which means it's going to cost you more fuel. Likewise, if I decided I'm not in a hurry anymore because you guys are in a hurry, I'm no longer in a hurry, but I want to make sure I maintain my price. So one way of doing this is increase the selling price. The other way is to reduce the cost. So set the vessel on slow steam is another way to save cost. Did you know that one airplane, 747, from the gate to the takeoff position, it burns 16,000 US dollar fuel just from there to there? Can you imagine that? And if you are high speed all the time, of course, that's why a lot of flight, technically, they cannot be delayed because they can always fly a little bit faster to be on time. But do they want to do that? No, because it costs money. For the carriers, now carriers, it could be boat, it could be airplane. The owner will give instruction to these carriers and say, look, I give you a target. You sell from Shanghai to Rotterdam within the target time, 21 days. If you're late, you lose your bonus. If you make it in time, and you manage to cost me the fuel up to this much, then whatever money I save, I'll share with you. Now, if you're the captain, what do? Of course, you want to make sure that you go via the shortest distance with the steadiest speed to make sure that you don't miss anything. So if you're lucky, you hit a storm or typhoon or anything like that, what do? You need instruction from the boss to say, okay, burn the fuel, which means burn the money. So you see, all these are the tricks of doing the trade. Without knowing all these details, you're not going to make money. Now, you guys are all masters. When you graduate from here, you are going to go to the industry. You're going to every single kind of industry. For supply chain, mostly it involves service. If you want to be good in doing your job, you really have to use your brain. Nobody is going to be successful sitting there doing nothing. You really have to think. You see all these little tricks. Without thinking it, without actually putting it in practice, you never ever know how to make it work. So what you're doing here is to learn all the tricks. You're going to learn all the theories, everything that Horace is teaching you. At the same time, with people like us, or articles like what we've done in the newspaper, in the internet, you guys can learn. And when you gather all these things, you go to the job and you put it into practice. If you act like anyone else, Mr. Joe Blow average, just taking instructions and work, you're not worthy of master. Seriously. You really have to think about it. How can I gain the strength? How can I utilize the situation? When the economy is good, it does not mean it's necessarily good for you. Why? Because everybody's good. How do you stand out from your competition? When the economy is not good, it's not necessarily bad for you because your competition are dead. There will be breadcrumb or whatever left over there for you to pick. Easy money. We also have quite a few clients who come to us and say, sorry, my supply is dead. They went bankrupt, so you can have a place to stay. Of course. So it doesn't really mean that when the economy is good, you're going to do good. It doesn't really mean that. Okay? So when the exam paper is harder this year, does it mean that it's difficult for you guys to pass? Not necessary. Because the school has to make sure that the same number of students has to pass. So even though the paper is more difficult, it doesn't mean that you cannot pass. So when it comes to doing business, you got to be careful what you do. Now, one of the trick that we do is Horace was very kind to say that we're medium sized. We're actually pretty small, 120-something people, not that big. We've got a 5,000 square meter warehouse. We've got good connection with everybody. We know most of the IT people, manufacturers who produce IT goods.